Manus flat on the canvas. We are ready to rock and roll. Second round of action. There is a cut on Manus.
Yeah. Jesus.
Martial arts chat.
My man B-Hop, who got dropped out the ring last night. I need a little judo baby. I need me a little judo baby, and let's do it, Ron. Let's hit me up.
I see you were telling me this. You've got a face for radio.
That's got a face for radio.
That's nice.
Martial arts chat.
Hello and welcome to the Martial Arts Chat podcast. And we're back for 2018. A happy new year and thanks for joining us. Remember, if you want to hit me up during the live show, we're on facebook.com/martial arts chat and on Twitter @martial arts chat as well. Before I introduce tonight's panel, first a shout out to our sponsors, A1 Fight Gear. A1 Fight Gear use the latest cutting edge boxing gloves for professional and amateur fighters, gym enthusiasts and kickboxers. So local and national gyms in the UK, do yourself a favour and check out a1fightgear.co.uk. And if you want to get into shape or get back into shape, or it's new year, new me and all that, go to beastgear.co.uk and use the coupon code MartialArtsChat. You can save 15% off your purchases. They've got core sliders, straps, barbell pads, all these strength and conditioning programs to suit your needs. So be sure to check them out. And let's get to the panel to tonight. Returning is from the main event, Mr. Kevin Jones. Kev, how you doing, my friend?
You know I'm doing good, man. I got to tell you, I don't know if it's about 65 degrees out here, 0 wind. West Texas is beautiful in January, man. It's beautiful all the year, all the time around. I got a beautiful lady sitting here checking out the show too. I'm gonna marry her one of these days. But I got my Bud Light with me, and yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll, bro. I'm really excited about this card. I think it's one of the best events that we've seen all year, even in a short year. So yeah, I'm pumped, bro.
It's going to be awesome for sure. And we've got new to the show, Matthew Penny of Nature of MMA. Matthew, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, doing good, mate. Doing good. Like I said to you offline, I got a load of coffee in for tonight's event. I'm just not going to make it. I start work at 8 a.m. tomorrow, so I can't make tonight, but can't wait to UFC 220. Honestly, the return of DC after a tough couple of months. So looking forward to it.
It's going to be awesome, and usually, I mean, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but it's like the UFC seems to have a sort of slow start into any sort of new year. Do you know what I mean? It's like things don't really start to build to sort of the spring, and then obviously we've got International Fight Week. I can't remember being this excited right at the start of the year, and it really is going to be awesome for sure. But yeah, I mean, UFC 220. We've also got UFC Fight Night tonight, and we'll be looking at the main event of that later, and that's the Korean, I almost said the Wonder Boy, Korean Superboy, Do-Ho Choi, taking on Little Heathen, one of my favourites, Jeremy Stevens. I think it'll be an awesome fight. Be good to see the Korean Wonder Boy. I keep saying Wonder Boy, the Korean Superboy, excuse me. Be good to see him back after that awesome fight that he had with Cub Swanson. I don't think he's been seen since, so should be really good. But yeah, thanks very much for joining us, guys. So we've got Kevin Jones at the main event. We've got Matthew Penny of Nature of MMA, and we're hoping to maybe fill a third seat. I'm trying to get in touch with Mr. Bob Carson of the Carson's Corner podcast. Bob, you there, my friend? I may be able to get Bob later. I'll see if I can try and dial him in and slide him in for his predictions. But let's get to the guys here. And first, I'll come to you, Kevin. It's the co-main event. Your favourite fighter, mate, Daniel Cormier. Having been destroyed by John Jones, he gets his title back via USADA. And DC is now the new reinstated light heavyweight champion in defence against Volkan Ozdemir, a.k.a. what time is it? A.k.a. probably the worst nickname in MMA. What's your thoughts, mate? What's your predictions on this? What you got?
I like his nickname, John Boy. I got to tell you, but
no.
Well, I got some thoughts on the fight. First, I want to say I did hear that A1 Fight Gear. They did offer me a free set of gloves if I was nice to DC, but it's really not worth it. And I got a set of gloves that I like already, and they are from A1 Fight Gear as well. But I already got a set of gloves, so I don't need them. So we're not going to let up on him. Champion by default,
exactly.
The best number 2 in the game, baby. DC is coming. I haven't heard him saying a whole lot because I guess it's easier to clown on him whenever he's doesn't like his opponent, and it's his opponent's John Jones every time I turn around, and it's going to be again after this, win or lose. I don't know, man. I think Ozdemir, he hadn't been around that long, but what I always say about these European guys when they come over, y'all going to love this.
Go ahead.
They're just a lot more battle tested. I mean, when you see a guy come over from Europe with a solid record, you don't have to question whether he's actually a good fighter or whether his record's padded. Mm-hmm. And I think he's obviously proved, winning 3 fights in a row last year. First fight out the gate, he was split decision with Ovin St. Pro, and then he knocks out his next 2 opponents. And, I know y'all aren't happy with him knocking out Jimmy Manawa in his last fight, but he wins 3 in a row, 2 first-round knockouts. Not going to hold the split decision against him because Ovin St. Pro is a very rangy fighter, and that thing went the distance. And it's his first fight in the UFC. But here's a bold prediction for you. He's going to smoke DC within a minute of the first round. Ooh. Sledgehammer's going to hit DC, and DC's going down, baby. Downtown like doo-doo's brown. And I hope that makes the end of the year clip show, John Boy. Even though it's January. Don't forget about that come December.
Yeah, you got it.
But, I don't know. I would like to get a little more talk out of DC before the fight. I'm just really hoping DC loses. And I definitely think Ozdemir has the power to do it. Anybody can get touched in that in this light heavyweight division. I mean, these guys are coming in there weighing close to 225 probably. And it's but not to count DC out. I'll give props where props are due. I don't like him personally. It's well documented on the Mixed Martial Arts Roundtable podcast and on my show, The Main Event. I never miss a chance to poke him a little bit. I wish you'd give me more to poke this time. But his box, he's better than anybody else named John Jones.
Yep.
And he very well could defend, but I do think this is kind of one of those opponents that could be flying under the radar. And he's so caught up with, the rivalry with John Jones, and then him admitting after that fight that there was no rivalry because he couldn't beat him. Yeah. And I think that weighs on his head. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm just kind of wishful thinking maybe he's overlooking Ozdemir, and Ozdemir's pretty slick and he's fast. If he can get in there and drop one of those hands on him. DC got great defense and he keeps his hands up good. So we'll see what happens, man. I mean, it could be one-sided for DC, or I think Ozdemir catches him early.
I mean, I think DC is the favourite in this, and I'm hearing, a lot of people just saying that it's going to exactly be that. He'll use his wrestling to nullify Ozdemir. But the thing that's it's the real big factor in this is the fact that DC, he got finished and how he got finished in his last fight. I mean, that's got to have that's got to have done some damage for sure. Whenever someone connects on his chin from now on, I mean, it was pretty brutal and beautiful, I guess, in John Jones fashion. But pretty brutal for one Daniel Cormier. But it's going to make for a great, and I can't believe it's co-main. We've still got the main event to come, but it's going to be a fantastic night of fights. We might have filled that third. Pat, carry on, mate. Carry on.
I can just say real quick. My boy John Jones is innocent. He's coming back, baby. Let's remember who the real champ is, okay? Let's remember who the real champ is and who the champion by default, second best champion is.
He's had second, third, and fourth chances, man. I don't know if I can do it again. He's broke my heart so many times, man. I don't know.
Feel proven guilty, baby.
Oh, I don't know.
I didn't hear a gavel drop yet.
Fair enough. We might have filled that third seat, Mr. Kobe from Kobe's Corner. Kobe, can you hear me, my friend?
I can. How you doing, guys?
Excellent stuff, mate, and good to have you on. Thank you for helping a brother out. So we're looking at co-main event here, sir, and it's one Daniel Cormier against one Volkan Ozdemir. Who have you got in this one? And new or and still?
Well, I think you have to consider that anytime you have a striker of that magnitude, the arch enemy or the biggest rival is somebody with the takedown, with the Olympic level wrestling, and Daniel Cormier. And he's fought this kind of fighter before many, many times. And I think Ozdemir has more to worry about than Daniel Cormier. What I do notice is that the advanced stage is there at 38. I think you made a good point about being finished, and Father Time has a sneaky way of coming in between camps and tapping a fighter on the shoulder, and then bang, it's over. That said, Daniel Cormier needs to go out with a W, and I think if you look at the body of work and you take John Jones out of the equation, he has smashed everybody. He is one of the best fighters ever. And I don't think that Ozdemir is going to have or be able to bring the well-rounded skill set necessary to beat a fighter of Daniel Cormier's caliber. I think there's, like he said himself, there are levels to this, and I do believe that anytime a fighter has a wrestling is that strong, you absolutely cannot count that man out. So I'm going to say and still. I think I'm leaning Cormier here.
Well, it's probably the most sensible shout, but yeah, I totally hear what you're saying, mate. Let's hear Matthew's thoughts. Matthew, who have you got in this one? Is it Anstill or Anu?
For me, it's got to be Anstill. You know, when I heard that Kev was going to be on the show, I was really looking forward to it. You know,
I took it easy on him, kind of.
I like DC. I mean, I get the fact that he is kind of, you know, the default champion, but I think we're going to have a situation like we had in the DC Anderson Silva fight. I think he's just going to dominate. I think he's just going to get Oezdemir onto the ground and just. I think, you know, against John Jones, I think you have to ignore that a bit because there was so much passion there and so much anger towards John Jones. He just he maybe forgot his battle plan a little bit. Mm-hmm. He just stood up, you know, and got caught and got knocked out. You know, it was clear. But I think this fight, there's not as much passion in it. I think he's going to take it calmly. He's going to know what's happening. I think he's going to go in there. If he can get Oezdemir down enough and utilise his wrestling as well as we know he can, I think it'll be it'll probably be a boring fight. I think it'll get booed again by the fans. But I think I can see a decision win for DC here, and I kind of hope so because I think he's had a rough couple of months. He is the default champion, I know, but I think he's had a tough half year towards the end of last year. So he was humble about it. You know, when the USADA thing came out about John Jones, of course we don't know if he's guilty yet, but you know, he was humble about it and said, fair enough, John Jones is the better man here. But, you know, I think he's going to have the passion to win because, you know, he does not want 2 title losses in a row. You know, that is going to be horrific if he loses.
Yeah, I mean, there was all that.
I love that.
Oh, go on, mate. Go on.
I wanted to get this in before it was over, man. And I love that you just said that. Think about this. I think y'all are mad about him beating up Jimmy. I think y'all are mad about Oezdemir beating up Jimmy Manawa. I feel like y'all are really pulling for DC a little more than y'all should be. Not saying there's any bias on this show, but think about this. Think about this. DC, the only man in UFC history to lose a title twice in a row as the champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that would
crazy,
make my day.
He won't let it happen. I don't think he will let it happen. I think that is an extra incentive for him to not lose. I just don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, you don't want to be that record. You don't want to be that in the record books, man.
That's true.
Oezdemir does not bring to the table what John Jones does, and I think, you know, if you look at the amount of stand-up you've seen in the last fight with John Jones and Cormier, that was large in part due to where John Jones kept the fight where he wanted it. Daniel looked good there. I mean, there's great head movement. I'm going to refine my pick and really move towards the grappling. I know that the wrestling we talk about a lot, but Cormier's got great ground and pound and submission skills as well. So I'm even taking DC by sub, Johnny boy.
Oh, that's as bold a prediction as it gets. Well played, mate. Guys, let's get to the main event. And a guy we've spoken about quite a lot over the last year and a half or so is the one Francis the Predator Ngannou. And he's the challenger at 11-1, 6-0 in the UFC, and you've got the champion there, Stipe. I believe the word is that Stipe is the underdog in this one, but he also has a chance to break that the record for most heavyweight title defences. I think that's a grand old 3 for that one. Mm-hmm. Crazy, absolutely crazy. But it's likely to be an outstanding fight. It could be lights out, or it could not be. Who knows? But let's hear the panel's thoughts. We'll start with Matthew this time. Matthew, who have you got walking out as the champion in this one, and who's leaving on a stretcher?
I think when you're talking about Ngannou, you've just got to go for him to win. I love Miocic, I really do. I mean, look at his record. I mean, he's defended that title against Verdum, Dos Santos, Mark Hunt. Well, no, not Mark Hunt, but Reem as well. Yeah. I mean, God, he's got some big names on his record. But, God, you know, Ngannou's strikes and punches are so strong, and he comes at you so quick. He is so big. I'm going to get caught up in the Ngannou hype and say it's going to be a clean KO. I don't know. It's not going to go the full 5 rounds, is it? Let's face it. Yeah, I'd say round 1 or 2. I think Stipe will go in there, you know, just sort of feel him out, see how strong he really is, see if he believes the hype. I think Stipe is going to believe the hype and get knocked out in round 1 or 2.
It's a very strong possibility, mate, and you make a good point. Colby, give me your thoughts for the main event. Is Ngannou just going to blow the doors off Stipe in this one?
No, actually, I don't think so. And, I was wrong about Overeem. But the thing is, Stipe has a much better fight IQ. Overeem does some really, really weird things inside the cage, and he certainly did standing in traffic in the pocket with Ngannou in that fight. It was very odd. He was running some kind of peekaboo defense with his hands down, pitched an overhand, and it was really the perfect setup. He literally leaned into the shot. It was the picture-perfect punch, and a lot of that had to do with Overeem making a big mistake. Now, Stipe brings to the table, as a former Golden Gloves boxer, he's a former Division I wrestler, champion out of Cleveland State. He's 5 straight victories, 4 straight first-round finishes. He went 5 straight rounds with Mark Hunt. I mean, that's a heavy a puncher, as we've seen. Yeah. Now, with heavyweight, you might as well take a coin out of your pocket and flip it. You know what I mean? Like, it just takes one punch to change the course of any heavyweight fight. And now you're talking about Francis Ngannou. So I think the math is simple. If he hits Stipe clean, he's probably going to win. That said, I think Stipe brings more to the table, much like Daniel Cormier. And I believe that in this fight, he's going to utilize some sharp boxing and then some takedowns and just hit that level change. We've seen in the Curtis Blades fight, he hit 2 sloppy-ass takedowns on Ngannou. Those were not very nice setups. I think it was round 2. We have not seen Ngannou in round 3, 4, or 5. We have not seen him have to expend any kind of extra energy. We don't know what the cardio looks like. We really don't know what the wrestling looks like. The Blades fight was some time ago, so you could say, in theory, yeah, he's probably gotten better in all areas, and I do believe he's a freak athlete and will probably one day be a world champion, maybe after UFC 220. That said, I think Stipe Miocic, the fireman out of Cleveland, has something to say about everybody counting him out. The champion coming out as the betting underdog. Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
Come on. Let's go. Stipe Miocic, I think, is angry, pissed off, feels disrespected. He's got a lot more experience, and I think that in the end of the day, he is going to defeat Ngannou. I think he's going to finish him. I'm taking Stipe, baby.
Good for you, mate. Finally, Kev, give me your predictions for the main event, please, sir.
2 title changes at UFC 220, baby.
Ooh.
You know Ngannou's my man. You know I predicted it in December of 2016 that this would happen in 2018.
Indeed.
And this is when it's going to happen. There's a reason we haven't seen any of his wrestling or him getting out into the 3rd round. And we're probably not going to see it for quite some time, man. The dude is on another level. I think Kobe is drinking the juice up there. I think Cleveland's pretty close to Montreal. I'm no geographer, but it's a lot closer in Cameroon. I do know that. I'm going with Francis Ngannou. I think the difference I think that if Stipe Miocic does not come out firing, he's dead in the water. You don't want to sit back against this man and let him work. Now, if Ngannou lands some punches on him and he feels the power and he freezes up, it can go down real quick with the combinations that Ngannou throws. As we saw in this last fight, that went under half a minute against Overeem, man. It's just the power that he brings and the combination he throws, and the biggest thing I think makes a difference between him and all the other heavyweights is his footwork. He gets himself in a position in the right range to hit you with those long arms, and we know the guy is just carrying concrete in these gloves, man. The dude's massive. The athleticism that he brings to his striking game will get you out of there quick if you get within his range. So I think that I don't see this fight going long. I mean, none of his fights have gone long. Stipe has he's a heavyweight too, and it's like there's. I don't know. I agree and disagree with the coin flip analogy because, well, I guess it wasn't an analogy, but, there's money to be made on these heavyweight fights, and there's money to be made in this fight. And Vegas knows it. The gamblers know it. That's why they're on Ngannou. I think, the difference when you talk about like the casual fan that's sitting on the couch, and whenever you see a great fighter look not like himself, this guy will say, well, why is he doing this? Why isn't he just doing that? The things that you've seen him do before. And you ask any fighter, and they'll tell you it's all about what's coming back. you're not going to keep doing the same thing if it's going to get you hit every time. Yeah. And when this is what's going to happen in this fight. And when he freezes up, he's dead in the water. He stops moving his feet. Ngannou got him. And I think it goes down in the first round. I have no reason to think anything else from what I've seen of Francis Ngannou and what he's done to everybody else. So smart money's on Ngannou. Fair
enough, mate. Guys, let's move on to the final part for our predictions, and it's for tonight's main event. It's Du Ho Choi, the Korean Superboy. I kept saying Wonder Boy earlier on. He's taking on one of my favourites, Little Heathen, Jeremy Stephens. We haven't seen Choi fight since that amazing contest against Cub Swanson, so glad to see that he's back, and let's see what he can do against the ever-powerful Stephens. Let's get some predictions from the panel, starting with, let's start with Kev again. So, Kev, give me your thoughts for tonight's main event, sir.
I was listening to the guys on that UFC tonight, and they were making some good points of first off, let's look at it. I'll do my synopsis of a Kobe breakdown that's just not going to come anywhere close. But we're going to give Stephens the edge in wrestling, no doubt about it. And he's got a more pop in his shot than Do Ho Choi. Now, the thing with Ho Choi, the reason everybody likes him so much is because his output is so high. He makes for exciting fights. Well, what happens when you have a high output is you usually get hit with a lot more shots. So he takes a lot of shots as well, as we see in the Cub Swanson fight. He's there to be hit. So the thought is that this fight will go for a ways and Stephens will catch him. Mm-hmm. But I think Do Ho Choi is a little too slick for Stephens, and Stephens' come forward style I think will play into to how he'll hopefully how he'll fight him and kind of stick and move a little bit. Right. Keep that output the same, but put it into pockets instead of just having all. You don't want to have an all-out war with Jeremy Stephens because that will probably end up being a short night. But I'm going to go Do Ho Choi, unanimous decision. I think he frustrates Stephens quite a bit, and I'm a little biased to him because some guys that I really respect their opinion, they were on Choi right when he showed up, and they have always touted him as a future champion. One thing that turns me off of him, he has a very small chin. It's like he doesn't have a chin at all. Mm-hmm. And that's worrisome whenever you're getting punched in the face for a living and you're betting money on these guys. So I'm not betting on this fight, but I think Do Ho Choi by unanimous decision. We're going with that.
There you go. Matthew, who have you got in tonight's main event, sir?
Korean Superboy for me. I think I do like Jeremy Stephens, and yes, he's got great wrestling and he's had some great fights in his career. But I can't help but look at his record. Mm-hmm. His record is mixed, to say the best that I can say. He's so mixed. He's got some great wins. But I just don't think. I mean, Choi has got had a great couple of wins, and I think he's got it. One thing that annoys me about him though is that he takes so much time off. He could have had so many fights. We haven't seen him for over a year. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I don't know if he's had an injury that we don't know about, but I think he's got the win. He had a bit of a blip against Cub, but it was a great fight. I think Jeremy Stephens is more of he's got a lot of hype by some people. I just don't think he's, in reality, I don't think he's that great personally. I'm not a fan. So yeah, for me, Korean Superboy.
Good shout, mate. Fair enough. Finally, Kobe, who have you got for tonight's main event, sir?
Well, I've been doing a lot of thinking about this fight, Johnny Boy, and I've come up with some possible solutions, although there are some riddles. With Jeremy Stephens, you don't quite know who's going to show up. But the 500 record is a bit deceiving, and I think Alliance has really helped to fill some holes. And if you take a good look at the Melendez fight, he added some things to the toolbox. He's using a teep kick, some low kicks. He's mixing it up more in the clinch. I think in this fight, he definitely needs to draw a line in the sand and choose to when to fight on the outside and then when to get in the pocket and bang. And I think that line is ultimately going to determine whether or not he wins this fight. I don't see Choi just staying in the pocket. A lot of the reason why his striking defense is not the greatest is strictly because of the Cub fight. He doesn't have a ton of fights inside the UFC. The ones that he did win, he won convincingly. He's a really aggressive counterpuncher. Du Ho Choi is a sniper. I mean, he's got a beautiful right hand. Jeremy Stephens has not been finished, I don't think, since 2012. He has fought everybody. He typically loses to the really higher end guys, and he wins against the mid sort of upper level guy. But he does have some losses on that record, but the experience can definitely help him. Choi has never fought in rounds 4 or 5, right? The Cub Swanson fight was 3 rounds.
That's right,
Stephens lost a fight to Cub Swanson, but Jeremy Stephens went all 5 rounds. That was also a fight of the night. Cub Swanson's a very tricky guy, and one that's difficult to prepare for. You've a really hard time finding a creative sparring partner where you don't know what's coming, and that has a lot to do with why Choi got hit. I think in the long run, you'd probably looking at Doo Ho Choi as for maybe a finish on the feet, maybe Stephens as a decision. I think ultimately at the end of the day, I'll probably lean towards the Korean Superboy because Jeremy Stephens has proven beatable. That said, 7 bonuses, heavy hands. He's got heart. The guy's, he's got granite sledgehammer hands. I love his game. He's a lot of fun to watch. Jeremy Stephens has been one of the more game fighters in the UFC for a long, long time. But I also believe that before the Korean Superboy leaves for this military service, if this guy wants to be relevant when he comes back, he cannot walk out of here with losses. He needs to win now because he's getting ready to go for 2 years. So the time is now for the Korean Superboy to win. And I like the 2 years off, almost 2 years off since the Cub Swanson fight. A young fighter like that never wants to jump right back in the soup. So I like that they kept him out. So I think I'll go with the Korean Superboy here.
Do we see Stephens in the future? If he wins this, do we see Stephens in a possible title contendership battle, or is he going to be one of these guys who sorts of, as he has been in his career so far, really, just sort of plodding along, fighting everybody, winning, losing, but never actually getting anywhere?
He's a jobber. That's exactly
what who the fuck is that guy? He's that guy, right?
He's a jobber.
That's what he's saying. I was going to sum up Kobe's point that, Jeremy Stephens is a gatekeeper who fights like a counterpunching caveman, and he's going to have to not fight like that so much to win this fight. Right. Yeah, man. Jeremy Stephens got that name, though, and, when you have a name and people know you and they like watching you because of the way he fights, they love him. Yeah, Ben, you never know, dude. You never know. If he wins this fight, I mean, why not plug him in there? If someone's going to get hurt, they can plug him in, too.
He's 9. Choi is 13. I mean, it's going to obviously skyrocket his stock, but I don't know. It's a good question. We'll have to wait and see.
Gentlemen, let's move on to the final part of the show, and it's my favourite, answering fan questions. Thanks to everyone who got in touch on Twitter and on Facebook. Just a reminder to the panel of the one rule we have, and it's simply this: you don't have to wait your turn, gentlemen. The floor is yours. So we'll start with let's start with Facebook this week. And we've got Chris Watson. He messaged to say, can we all agree that interim belts are pointless? Next, we can have assistant interim belt holder, assistant to the interim belt holder. What's everyone's thoughts?
I don't think pointless is. I'm glad he added that last part in because I don't think pointless is a strong enough word to describe how I feel about interim titles. Yeah, man, let's just not pay attention to them. Not every fight needs a trinket. I mean, what are they, gifting the belt to, elevating Whittaker from interim to champion status, and then he's out. So now these guys are fighting for an interim belt again. I mean, the shit just doesn't make any sense. The Rockhold Romero fight shouldn't be for a fucking belt. Why do we need one in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're getting a little crazy with it. And we have a joke on the show that we've been making for years about all the titles in boxing, and they said, well, what's this one for, the purple diamond crusted sash of the WBC? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, they're already controlling the rankings, and so they're already manipulating the titles to an extent, anyways. And the whole interim title thing is just fucking ridiculous. It's getting out of hand.
Essentially, the interim belt is basically a fancy word for number one contender.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It's literally all it is. It's just a number one contender for when the champion's back. That's definitely who he's facing. Obviously, we'll put that to the test when Conor McGregor returns to see if the interim belt actually does mean anything. I mean, if they put Conor with, Habib or anything, we'll know the interim belt means absolutely nothing at all. Literally nothing. But we'll see.
Yeah, you're probably right, mate. Let's move on then. So we've got G from the MMA Shower. He asks, will the appointment of Jimmy Smith to the UFC be better because he has some fight experience, unlike Joe Rogan? I don't know. What's everyone's thoughts? Jimmy Smith?
I'm not a huge fan, truth be told. Congratulations to him on a fantastic color commentary career with Bellator and obviously landing a spot with the UFC. Joe Rogan is a jiu-jitsu black belt. At the end of the day, I believe the two-man team is better anyway. I'm not a big Jimmy Smith fan, to be honest, personally, but for me, everybody's different in what they like. And the three-man team is almost like too many cooks in the kitchen. So I like the two-man team. I prefer Rogan. But I know that Jimmy Smith's probably going to do a good job, and there are going to be a lot of people that are really happy about it.
If I had to pick one or the other, I'd pick Jimmy Smith, but Kobe illustrated everything that I think about the situation. I fucking hate Joe Rogan, but he does have experience. He does have a lot of experience. Been doing this for a long time. I don't care for Rogan's, I'm 3 steps ahead of you fucking style of and he a lot of times. I was actually watching UFC 210, and we talked about this on the show this morning. He says shit like, calling a replay on UFC 210, somebody gets knocked out, and he says, and then he slips his left hand and then hits him with, bam, he hit it with the right, and it's like, god damn, he sounds like an annoying dude sitting next to me at the bar watching this fight. You know what I mean? So I'd love to see Joe Rogan get out of there, but yeah, Kobe's a lot more professional than I was about it. I don't care for Jimmy Smith either. And but I think congratulations to him. Good job getting the gig. I think he's going to be taking over the in-cage duties too, and that's kind of the part of my deal that kind of bugs me. The thing with Jimmy Smith is it's like the same thing over and over. You know what I mean? Yeah. He doesn't have a lot of. He has personality, but it's the exact same personality. And it feels put on. But yeah, man. Good job on his part landing that gig.
Yeah,
I'll make a hat trick. I'll just make it a quick hat trick on. I'm not a fan of Jimmy Smith. He's okay, but I personally like Joe Rogan's passion. Some people can call it annoying. I like his passion. I quite like it. Same vein as I like DC on the commentary as well. A lot of people disagree with that, but I just like a bit of passion.
Thug Rose. He was channeling his NRJR on that one, wasn't he? Went full Jim Ross.
And I'll add real quick, man. I've never met the dude, but I see him at Bellator shows. Jimmy Smith seemed like a really cool dude. Besides us not caring for how he does, commentary, that's neither here nor there about how I feel about it personally, and I'm sure everybody agree with that.
Agreed.
There you go, mate. Let's move on then. Vasil Condon, I hope I'm saying that name right. Message to say, this isn't really a question, but I just liked it and put it in. I'm so sick of hearing Tyron Woodley pissing and moaning. His latest thing on Joe Rogan's podcast is he doesn't get the respect he moans for. Thinks everyone and everything is against him, constantly playing the race card. Tyron is so insecure and his inferiority complex is among the worst I've ever seen. He's reading this comment right now somewhere on his phone like a 13-year-old.
What was the texter's name?
Vasil, Condon. I'm going to assume it's Condon. Condon, I think.
Let's call him Vasily.
Vasily.
Hey, Vasily.
Go, Vasily.
How long did you spend typing that text messages to talk shit about Tyron, man? Leave it alone, boss. Let it go. All right. I say this all the time, man. When it comes to shit like this, it's very easy to criticize somebody who has a platform when you don't. He's the champ. Let him piss him on if he wants to, man. Let him, say what he wants to. And if that's in his feelings that he want to play the race card, as people put it, then man, he's calling it how he sees it. Now, whether or not you see it the same way, he doesn't give a shit, and neither do most of us. So
he calls it the way he sees it, but he calls it for himself. It's a very narrow-minded tunnel, and I think although the opinions are strong by the texter, I rather quite agree. And I think, at the end of the day, this guy is constantly complaining. He's got a Fox desk job. He makes tons of cash. He's been trying to pick his fight since the moment he won the title. He literally scoffed at the idea of Nick Diaz getting a title shot before him because he had earned it. And then as soon as he had the opportunity, he was trying to call a lightweight Nate Diaz out to the cage. So I kind of get the hate, and I kind of like it.
They always tell me up at work.
I'm just being honest.
they always tell me up at work when I tell somebody to do something or tell them what I'm going to do, and they say, "It's your world, boss." And that's how I'm telling Tyrone Woodley. It is your world, my man. Keep sleeping people and making me money and riding out decisions for me, baby. And we're going to ride this thing all the way to the bank. I wish Leroy was here from it was Leroy. Yeah,
Leroy,
man.
Yeah.
Leroy from St. Louis. I wish he was here.
Yeah,
parties are going down tonight in St. Louis. I guarantee he's going to be ringside on the press row.
He gets a lot of hate for bitching, and he also gets a lot of hate for his fights. But yes, he does bitch a lot, and it probably isn't. That is fair. But I quite like how he's defended his titles. Yes, okay, his last 2 fights against Stephen Thompson and Maia were pretty dull, but Maia especially, that was a tough matchup for him, and he battled it for 5 rounds, and he came out and won. So, he's had some good defenses in my book. So he can stop bitching, but he's doing all right with the title. So
there you go, guys. Let's move on to Twitter before we wrap things up. Then I saw this one earlier. At Naked Gambling tweeted with Uriah Hall out, Vitor Belfort's retirement fight is now an interim retirement fight. Thoughts?
Shout out to the Naked Gambler, man. That dude has fucked with me a whole bunch on Twitter.
We love you, man. We love you. Let's see. Most are just comments. Let's see. Try and find a question. Here's a good one. Else for Elf. Excuse me. At Else for Elf tweeted to say, "What do you want to see this year? Khabib versus Tony, Conor versus Khabib, or Conor versus Tony?"
Well, I want to see Conor versus Khabib because I think Conor will lose that fight. I think it's a bad matchup for him, and I'd love to see him go to Russia to do it. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't like Tony Ferguson. I don't want to see him get any shine. Call it the hater in me coming out. I've had a little bit too many of these Bud Light beers and been playing too much golf.
If one guy's got a belt and the other guy's got the interim title, then it's not a question, right? It should be Ferguson and McGregor to unify. I don't know where Khabib could fit into that equation when there's 2 titles.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to get injured and we can put Tony in.
That's exactly how it goes down. That is exactly how it goes down.
I have to agree. It has to be. If there's an interim belt, there is no question. It's got to be. There's only got to be one belt, and it has to be Conor Ferguson for me straight away.
Here's a good point I want to throw in there. Conor versus anybody in Vegas sells. Conor versus anybody damn near anywhere in the world sells. 100%. Now they can pack out one of these big arenas in Russia with Conor versus Khabib. Sell the thing out. There's enough people in there, that Russia's doing good enough. That we're talking. They were talking about the UFC. We were talking about Hawaii in the previous show I was on about whether they're going to go to Hawaii. They'll go to Russia first. There's more money in Russia. There's more people. There's bigger arenas. And you put Khabib versus Conor, the thing sells out. Khabib gets injured. Conor gets injured. As long as one of them guys is there, they still have their main event, and the people still love it. That fight should. I mean. I get the title thing, man, but when we're talking, this is prize fighting, and this is Conor McGregor. So he said after the Floyd fight that he was going to fight Khabib. I believe his one of his trainers has hinted at it too. I mean, I think that's the fight that he wants to happen. So I think that's the fight that's going to happen because I think that's where the most money is. They can make more money doing this fight in Russia, and if you don't have Conor McGregor on top of that bill when you go to do a Russian show. Then what do you got over there? You put your best foot forward in the new market.
And then you have Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump sitting front row. That'd be good as well.
Fuck that.
I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I think UFC have booked the national stadium in a national stadium in Russia for the 13th and 14th of September. Right. I mean, if
I believe that we're going to hear about this.
I think it's going to be Tony and Khabib first. I think Tony and Khabib are going to fight, and the winner's going to fight Conor, and that's what I think's happening.
Conor and Khabib in Russia. Oh God, that would be mayhem. That'd be absolute mayhem. Conor would just play up to that, and that'd be electric. I really want to see that. But to be honest, anything with Conor, like I've already said, anything with Conor sells. So,
Kobe, do we got sources on that, or is that a gut feeling you got, brother?
In terms of the matchup?
Yeah.
No, that's just kind of what I'm leaning towards, and just my gut. There's nothing definitive there.
I think you want it. I think you want it too bad, amigo.
I'll
Take it's going down.
And Khabib all day long because Khabib's gonna wipe the floor with that dude.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
That's why I want.
just too
Like you
ridiculous.
said.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I'll play devil's advocate and I'll say Conor over Khabib. I think if he gets that one of those left hand shots in, done.
Man, I've got to be Debbie Downer, and I
takes-
still maintain that Conor doesn't come back. Sorry, guys, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, that's why I'm leaning towards Tony.
I gotta tell you, this is the deal, man. You see how much money this guy spends, and how he likes to live. Whatever he made, I don't think he made $20 million on that fight. Well, I mean, I'd say he made all of 20. He didn't make 30 on it. That money's going to go pretty quick when you're driving around, $300,000 Lamborghinis and taking trips to Ibiza.
No, I know what you're going to
there's-
say, but where are you going to make your more money? I think you're going to make more money in doing another boxing fight, a Pacquiao or whatever.
People are going to quit buying into that shit, man. I mean,
Eventually, but the next one would still sell.
I don't know, man. I would maybe wishful thinking on my part, and you're probably right, John Boy. But I'd like to think people are smarter than to buy another. He's not a good boxer. I mean, we're talking about pro boxing. He's not a good boxer. Straight up.
No.
Did any of you give McGregor a chance against Mayweather?
No,
We did a podcast about it, man. We
percentile.
had,
I mean, zero. Fucking Mayweather threw two punches, one round in the first 3 rounds. He fucking just wasn't even throwing a punch. I mean, it was a total shit show. And if he goes in there and fights fucking Canelo, he's getting slept. In the first fucking
God, it's over. Yeah.
And I mean, Canelo's not going to go in there. If he fights a guy, who weighs 160 pounds when he fucking comes in there, he's not playing with him.
Yeah.
He's getting him the fuck out of there quick. You cannot step up to the level that. I mean, that was a show. Well, that was like, it was damn near like.
And it was
pro
for the
wrestling.
money belt as well. That was made from real alligator.
Baby, that diamond encrusted alligator belt.
What
Gotta
the
make
fuck was
that
that
one
all
up.
about? Was it Ted DiBiase's
What's
belt?
up
What was
with-
going on?
It's way above the purple diamond encrusted stash.
It's just below Matthew Klein Cater's belt, though. Just below.
Just below it. Well, guys, we're short on time, so we'll have to wrap it up there. And a huge thank you to the panel members here on the round table. Well, thank you to Kevin Jones of the main event. Awesome to have you on again, brother. Thanks very much for your time, mate.
My favorite thing I do once a month is come on this show for you, John Boy. Tune in to double T973.com Sunday mornings from 8 to 9, or you can go to the podcast page and listen to our show anytime. It's called The Main Event. We keep it live.
There you go, friends. Check it out. Kobe of Kobe's Corner, thank you very much for your time, and let everyone know where they can find your work, brother.
Yeah, you can hit me up on Twitter if you'd like, at Kobe's Corner, Kobe's an underscore corner, and then of course on YouTube, just type in Kobe's Corner to your YouTube search engine. If you find my channel and you enjoy the content, please subscribe. I just did a great piece with Josh Emmett, the number 4 fighter on the UFC featherweight ladder.
Nice.
So hit me up anytime. Thanks.
Awesome stuff. And finally, a massive thank you to Matthew Penny. A pleasure to get your time, mate, and let everyone know where they can find you and check out your work, brother.
It's been a great time. Thanks, John.
And shout out to...
You can catch me
go ahead,
on MMA Nature on Twitter and mmanature.weebly.com. We've got a number of good articles on there and a growing team of writers. And I'm looking forward to the next one, John. Cheers.
Awesome stuff. Don't forget, if you've liked this podcast, subscribe to us on iTunes. You can do that by searching for Martial Arts Chat. Like us on facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat, or follow me on Twitter. I'm at Martial Arts Chat. I'm John Boy McElroy, and we'll catch you again next time on the Martial Arts Chat podcast.